when you're ready.
We're ready.
Okay, call this meeting of the Land Use Committee to order. Roll call, so I see present is Councilor Sabila, Councilor Washington, and Councilor Soms is also in attendance. Have citizens' comments? I see no citizens, unless something, Bill, you wanted? Hearing none, informational items. The only thing I have to pass is to talk to Roxanne earlier today. On finance agenda for Wednesday, there is a item on the Nathan Lester House regarding lead abatement in the caretaker facility. I chose that not to discuss it here since it's really more about moving funds from on the finance side to pay for the abatement itself. And I just don't think there's anything for us to discuss other than finance is going to move funds to support lead abatement that needs to happen. And really it's being controlled through the mayor's office and through the Historic District Commission. So I just figured I'd let you guys know that I made that kind of decision that we really didn't need to see it. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for March 1st.
So moved. Councilor Washington.
Do I hear a second?
Second. Councilor Sebelia.
Okay. Motion made and carried. Seconded. Any comments, changes, deletions, additions? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. So moved. Old business, discussion, possible action, periodic review, list of town-owned properties. Still don't have the updated list from Liz yet. Hopefully I know she's working about 30 different things at the same time and going in about 400 different directions. And so hopefully she gets something to us soon. Item number 2, continued discussion regarding blight enforcement. We do have the blight enforcement report for both February 1st and today, April 5th. I saw nothing of note that I didn't expect to see, to tell you the truth, except for there was one parcel, where was that? On that appears to be abandoned that was reported today on Rosemary Court. So he's investigating that. Other than that, I have nothing else to add there. Item number 3, discussion possible future uses for the Clark Farm. I have no updates there other than the lease agreement that we had a public hearing and adopted, so that's ongoing use of the property as well as the use by the Tri-Town Trail Committee. And status update regarding security and safety concerns on East Street. I did talk to one of the residents who had actually fostered the start of this discussion. He said that there has been, his words to me, that there's been real good improvement there. So he is actually seeing improvement with the regular police showing up and the added security stuff and clearing of the brush. So that has helped, and that's from the neighbor who started, Will, who started this whole discussion. So
do you want to keep this on
I'm
the
positive to hear that.
Do you want to keep this on the agenda going forward now?
Yeah, I would just keep it on there for time being, just in case. But yeah, I was pleased when I ran into the resident, and he was telling me that it's the efforts that have been going on has actually been working, so that was good. I have no other old business on the new business. I guess I'll make a motion to review and discuss the March 10th, 2021 public hearing comments regarding the proposed ordinance providing for property tax exemption for farm buildings in the town of Ledyard, November 18th, 2020. So Roxanne's going to bring up the ordinance. She made some
Can you see it now?
amendments to it based upon, yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Eric Creaser's comments about being inconsistent with the wording from state statute and the intent of where we were going. So I looked at it. I agreed with the changes, change and help preserve farms in Ledyard instead of just promote the welfare. And basically striking out that second section of 3, that whole bottom sentence of 3.1. And just refer back to the Connecticut general statutes. So I think overall, I think the editorials that Roxanne put in there, I think kind of blend into what Eric Teresa brought up during the public comments, and kind of get rid of some of the, how do you put it, questions to how we have in one section where it talked about what was allowed and what we were actually allowing the ordinance to allow exemption from property taxes.
So the language was
it's
contradictory from one
yeah, the
paragraph
language-
to the other.
Right. Yep. So I don't know if anybody has any comments. Mike, Tony, Bill, if you have any you want to add, by all means.
Yeah, I just had, well, I'll let the councilors go first. Sorry.
Well, I like everything that was, the changes made sense. The only problem I was having was it folded back onto the exemption itself again. I know we brought this back to take a look at that verbiage, but I know we've told seniors, we cut the senior support to some degree, or we kind of leveled it out a little bit. Long term, down the road, I'm just having,
Yeah.
I'm having trouble telling one group of persons that, hey, we're not giving you any money, and then we're going to move the money, but we're going to take the money that we would have given you, and we're moving it someplace else. And I know we're saying we're matching with the original, what other towns around us are doing, which is already codified within the statute. But is it I don't think, not every town is doing it. It's just that, I don't know. I'm just having a little bit of second thoughts and second guessing myself on this one, only because, you're taking money from Peter to pay Paul.
And I know I raised that question really at the public hearing too, where I know we took away exemptions for senior citizens based upon saying that the plan as it was getting to be unaffordable based upon the numbers. But yet here we are asking for an ordinance to exempt property taxes from another group of residents. But I remember looking at the numbers that we'd gotten from the assessor. It wasn't the same amount, but it had the potential of growing to it, especially when you include PA 490. You got to remember that the state statute, as it's written, already provides a $100,000 exemption for machinery now. Which
Yes.
we don't need to do anything, and they already get that.
Yeah.
And that's why we struck the machinery out of this. We just said, okay, you already get 100,000 on machinery. We'll give you 100,000 on buildings. But I agree with what you're saying, Mike. I still have a hardship with this ordinance to the point where, like I said, we took away a tax break for one group and and it looks like we're giving it to another. Yes, if you look at the numbers, they're not the same, but from the perspective of the average citizen looking at it, that's all they see is that we took it from one group and we're giving it to another.
Yeah, and on top of that, one of the things that kind of keeps grabbing me, and I was thinking about it the last time, and it was coming back for another bite at the apple, in the $100,000 of assessed value per eligible building.
Yeah, it's not total.
So
If you have 10 barns that are worth $100,000, each one of those barns now becomes separate exemptions of $100,000 for each building that's used.
yes, yeah,
And that's the way the statute's written.
yep.
So you can't look at, to your point of just 100,000. I think you have a point there. And I'm not sure how the assessor looked at it, but it's not just $100,000 of total building. It's $100,000 per building.
Exactly.
So it has the potential of growing, I think, even more. And I don't know how the assessor looked at the buildings, if she looked at it that way, or if she looked at it for each individual as just a one overall $100,000 exemption. And if it's per, it gets bigger.
Yeah, and if this goes to council, because from here it goes back to the admin, it goes straight to council.
It goes back to council.
So the question becomes, once this is implemented, and you have a farm, you have a standing farm, even if we go back to change the ordinance, wouldn't they be grandfathered in if they were in a farming status at the time of the ordinance? Because, and the reason I ask it is, okay, I've got a farm, I got one building on it, and like we just talked about, and it's not a big issue, but down the road, somebody decides they want to build a tobacco farm, which you got 15 barns. Go,
right.
Yes, Roxanne?
I don't think they would be grandfathered in because according to state statute and according to this ordinance, you have to apply every year. You're required to apply annually.
Yeah, that's right.
And the other
Okay.
thing is the farm has to show, they need to prove that they have spent either spent $15,000 to support their farming activities, or they've brought in a revenue of $15,000 as a result of their farming activities. So if a farm has 3 barns with $100,000 for each barn, and they're not spending $15,000 or earning $15,000, they would not be eligible. And they would have to reapply every year by November the 1st. That's my understanding. So
I think you're right, Roxanne.
So at least that takes the sting off of it, because in other words, we could always, in an off year, if something goes awry and we decide that this is just not a sustainable situation for the town for some reason on a tax basis, the ability to change the ordinance and no harm, no foul, per se, because it's not a right, but it's something that's available to the farm business, but it's not a defined right. So in a sense, it doesn't have to, we can change it down the road if we have to.
Yeah, but I have another concern is that I think most of the farmers, until we started looking at this, didn't even realize that they had the option of an exemption as of right now through the state.
Oh,
So we don't even know what that impact is yet. And we're going to go add in another level, shall we say. So we don't know how many farms are actually applying for the exemption for the machinery, the $100,000 machinery exemption that the statute currently allows.
yep. So I could, yeah, I'm not feeling warm fuzzies on this right now. The upside is that the ordinance passes, the ability to change the ordinance down the road, to modify it if it's determined that it's just too expensive, just like with the senior citizens, what we're doing for support of the seniors. It'd be the same thing where we have to go back and revisit it. At $28,000, if that's the number we're really working with, it's not a big nugget if it keeps land from being turned into housing, which costs a fortune when you put people on it. So in that aspect, it's kind of you got to give up some money to save some money.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I don't think this exemption is going to keep a farm from selling out their development rights.
Well, that's true, but it may be enough to keep somebody still working in the farm.
Roxanne, you had to add something?
I just wanted to mention too that actually your task for tonight is to this ordinance has already been sent to the town council. So
Yep.
and it was discussed at public hearing. So tonight's task is to review the ordinance and decide if you want to make any non-substantial editorial changes. If once you go back to the council, you can always vote that you're not in favor of the ordinance as a whole. So tonight you're not actually, you already forwarded a recommendation to the council. So tonight is just to make those editorial changes, and then you'll have an opportunity to either vote the ordinance up or down once it goes back to the council. So I don't know if that helps you understand the task for today.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think if the goal was that came back to us was so it would mimic what the state statute was, then I think we've met that goal. I think it's nice and clear and concise. So as the ordinance stands, I'm in favor of the verbiage for the ordinance. Long-term survivability of the ordinance, that will play out when we see what the true impact is. But if we can keep farms from turning into heavy development at 3 kids in each house and 50 houses, then this will be very cheap in comparison with the cost. That's the upside. So, yep, I like the verbiage. That's the question. That's the answer that counts.
Yeah. And to the point, I think we're rocking with going, the changes that we made are not substantive.
No.
We didn't change the language so much that it completely alters the intent of where I think we were going. I think we just clarified based upon public comment that was received. Tony, you have anything you want to add?
As long as it's something that has to be applied for and looked at, I mean, that's your check and balance, so to speak.
Sure.
I really don't think that it's realistic to expect a big operation to come in and put up 15 buildings and start a farm and cause a big hit on the exemption. I just don't think that's feasible. My only question would be, what exactly is how many buildings are we talking about town-wide snapshot in town now? It's probably not very significant.
No, let's do the point. I think, and Bill, you might be able to help in this part too.
I think the total tax loss liability is $11, $12, or $13,000. Right. It's a small amount of money.
But that included the machinery too, right?
No, that's just the farm buildings.
Just the buildings, okay.
As I recall, yeah. I don't have it open, but
No, I think you're right now. Okay, I think.
I thought the total impact was going to be somewhere maybe around 28,000 with machinery. It wasn't a lot. When you think about turning a piece of property into a residential community, tax-wise, it's peanuts compared to what it's going to cost to take care of kids.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, the only thing I had a question about the actual language was I couldn't remember why we struck to promote the health, welfare, and quality of life of its residents, because I thought that was the whole point.
No, because reality is it's really to benefit farms. I know overall, if you say if I benefit farms, it helps out the rest of the town. I'm not disagreeing with that. From the standpoint of what you're trying to do is just protect farms to keep them in business.
In the
I think that's the intent of the ordinance.
The paragraph above says to help support, protect, and preserve Ledyard Farm. So it kind of says the same thing in a different way. So it says to help support, protect, and preserve Ledyard Farms by providing a tax exemption for certain farm buildings.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking, because I thought there were two reasons for this. One was economic, which we just talked about. You know, if it helps a little bit to save a farm, you save the farm, you don't have the houses. And that's an economic benefit in terms of people paying taxes. But I thought also that we wanted to preserve farms because other people like seeing farms. It's part of the quality of life in Ledyard that it's still, to some extent, a farming community.
Yeah, but I think the language is clearer because it's really to protect and preserve farms, not to promote health, welfare.
Oh, I see. All right. Yeah.
To say that I'm gonna go give a tax exemption to a farm, and that's gonna give me quality of life as a resident of Ledyard that has no farm is really, you know what I'm saying?
It's a stretch. Yeah. It's a concept, but it.
I mean, overall, you could look at the concept to say, hey, I'm helping the farms, and that helps out the town because the farm has less overall tax burden to the town for services than a 30-house subdivision does with children, two kids, and everything else that goes with it. You know, plowing more roads, on and on. Yeah, that's kind of an overall goal, but I don't think you can sit there and say that this ordinance is going to promote the health, welfare, and quality of life of all residents.
That's a subjective. In some people's opinion, it does. Others could care less. So,
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I'm good.
Okay. So, I guess with that,
Okay,
made a motion, but I don't think it took
I'm
a
just
second.
gonna pull up the tax assessor's,
Second.
spreadsheet so you can see it. Hold on, so just, give me 1 minute. Cause that might help you. Can you see that, or is the writing too small?
No.
So it's showing,
So an estimated tax loss would be $11,000.
Yeah, that's right. So,
we all get really close to the screen so we can read it. I'm seeing everyone's face come really close.
so there's Mike's 28,000. And I think that's if people went and built buildings.
Right.
That's potential future, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that would be if all those farms built out to, in this case, one building of $100,000 worth, or got the full $100,000 exemption on the
Yep.
building.
Yep.
But to your point, I mean, if Leaning Birch decided to go build 6 farms of $100,000 each, that would not be that amount.
Right, correct.
And I wasn't picking on Leaning Birch, I was just making a comment.
Yeah. Worst case, it gets revisited. I think the verbiage on there relative to the, it matches what the state statute is, which I think was the original intent.
Right.
So we've cleaned that up. So I think that the ordinance as rewritten, and put me down for the second. Put on your motion. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mike.
I think it was, I think if it does what we hope it does, and it doesn't end up being a very big burden down the road, which you can always visit later, then I think it works. But the verbiage in there works, I think.
Okay, so the motion is a motion to recommend the town council adopt a proposed ordinance for providing property tax exemption for farm buildings in the town of Ledyard as contained in the updated draft dated March 11th.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
and that's moved by Counselor Dombrowski and seconded by Counselor Washington.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, let me know when you're ready to vote.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And I have no other new business.
No. Guess what? We didn't video record this. I thought
really?
it was on pause the whole time. Oh well.
Do you want to do it again?
Oh well. Sorry guys. I have the audio though. We can upload the audio.
Okay. Very good. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second?
Meeting's adjourned without exception at 6:23 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night. Have a good night.
Right. Okay, so now I will stop the video that I just started 2 minutes ago. Oh,
Have a good night, Rock.
thanks.
Night.
Goodbye.